Hey guys, it's been a while. I had something on my mind today and a realization this morning, and I was like, you know what, I maybe discuss it. Why not, right? It's old memories, but then kind of new ones as well from what my friend's experiencing and how she's handling something, which is very different than how I would handle things. But the first complaint, I was just thinking about two things that I don't think I mentioned. One, the one about my sisters is gonna match with what my friend's dealing with in a different way. But the first complaint was, I was just thinking about this. My first husband, what a douchebag he is. And I just remembered, like, back in the day, how he wanted to do some projects around the house. But for me, like, I'm about saving money, and if I don't have it to pay for whatever project, I'll wait till I have the money. I don't like pulling loans on the house for that. And, you know, he comes from a family who's gone bankrupt and they're really bad with their money. And so it doesn't really give me a good warm and fuzzy feeling that that's a good idea to just start spending money we don't have. So I would always say, we don't have that kind of money right now, you know, and he wanted to like remodel the house, like brand new, you know, we had paver floors, and they were really cool, authentic pavers that had coyote and rooster prints on them, or chicken prints, whatever, and coyote prints in them, but they were really cool. And we had like this off-white carpet in some of the rooms too, and it was just a nice house. And he wanted brand new pavers laid out, and I kept saying, no, we don't have that kind of money. He'd always like connivingly get his way, you know, and he'd always talk to his friends more than me about stuff, take days off without me even knowing. He would have this vacations plan to do projects around the house that I was unaware of. Like, I'm like, oh, I guess you're off today. Like, you've never like let me know. That's why he's my ex. I don't even know why I married the asshole. But anyway, so what he would do instead to get his pavers, one was we were going to instead refurbish said pavers and reseal them. And what he would do was destroy said things, so we would end up having to get new floor. So he would purposely walk around in muddy boots from going in the backyard and working on the koi pond that he had to do, which was like another expensive project that he just had to have. And he would come inside and just walk all over the carpets to mess them up and just act like, oh wait, what's going on? Like, stupid, you know, like I'm an idiot. So he would do that to destroy the carpets. And then he had these workers, I think this is reminding me because they're talking on the radio about the ICE raids and stuff. So I remember he hired some day workers from Home Depot to come over and help with the paver, you know, getting them ready for seal. And he claimed, now I was at work at the time, that they had a hose in the house and they were just running water all over the flooring. And it ruined the pavers. Now, I can't put it in facts here, but being that way he is, I was just thinking about that today. Like, I bet you anything, he probably did that on purpose. Like, he's the one that had the hose out in the house, hosing the pavers and drowning them and destroying them. And I'm sure his friends all knew. And the thing is, just like my cousins not telling me about my mom being in the nursing home and just kind of like minding their business, his friends are the same way. Like, they all knew what a fucking, you know, jackass he was to me and all the shady shit, but they didn't care to help me out or take my side or let me know. And just, I'm so irrelevant on so many levels, at least out there, like in California. Just like no one gave two shits about me. I guess just because maybe I'm just very non-beneficial to know, you know, like, what are you gonna gain from knowing me? I don't have anything. I don't have money. You know, I don't have like, you know, contacts with people. So who freaking cares if I die? That's kind of how I felt with a lot of people out there. That's why I don't like ever go back there. So anyway, with that said, I was just like, what a jackass. But then I was thinking about, so now here it goes with my sisters, and I was thinking, you know, I totally forgot about this. For some reason, my brain told me, look in your jewelry box. Remember when your aunt on your dad's side was in town and gave you that watch that was from your grandmother? And so I'm like, just a weird thought that came in my brain. So I went upstairs to go to my old jewelry box, and sure enough, I found that watch. It had a couple diamonds in it. I remember her making a big deal about the diamonds. And at that time, I'm like, I'm just not a big money person. And the diamonds are small. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I just looked at it as nostalgia. Like, that's pretty. I never, did anything with it. I just have it in my jewelry box, But I think the reason why she gave it to me is she must have known that I never got the jewelry that she gave to my sisters years ago, back when they went to go visit her in Florida. Supposedly she gave, all this, heirloom jewelry to them to come home with, and some for me too. I never got any of it. And my middle sister, who likes to start problems with the family, told me, oh yeah, the older sister, the name, I'm not gonna say her name. She knows, she has your part of the money, not money, but your jewelry that Aunt so-and-so gave us. I'm like, well, why won't she give it to me? She always had an excuse. I would ask her, like, wait, where's that one jewelry that Aunt, who gave us? Oh, yeah, I just have it put away somewhere, like, always some kind of excuse. So I just kind of forgot about it. And I also kind of knew, I think that's maybe how I kind of figured they're going to take everything when my mom dies too. Because when my dad died, they did confiscate all his tools, and my other sister got the truck. I didn't take anything. I'm just like, if that's how they are now, I can only imagine. And sure enough, they are. But the thing is, I wasn't on bad terms with them when they went to go visit my aunt who gave that jewelry. They still took from me. So they can sit there and blame, or, she's being punished, that's why she's not getting anything, or my brother's money's not going to my kids. There's no punishment involved. It wouldn't have mattered. Because even if I was still living out there, helping them out with my mom, and being the best sister possible, they still would have left me out on all that. And so now I'm talking, here's my friend. Now she's kind of dealing with something similar, which I find shady as fuck, but she just seems to be okay with it. And it's her mom. And she comes from a pretty strong family. Like, they're very like, oh my God, sister bonding and all that crap. I don't have. So I low-key get a little jealous about that. Because they get matchy tattoos and, all that matchy shirts and all this stuff. And I don't have that with my sister. So I hate being reminded of that. I don't know if any of you guys are in the same boat where you're just like around somebody with a good family and you're like, kind of like, I don't need to know that you guys are happy. I'm happy for you, but I don't need to be exposed by that. It just makes me feel like, it's a reminder what I don't have. It just makes me feel sad. But anyway, so her family's so-called very good to each other and close, and they treat me nice too. They treat me like part of the family too. So I really do appreciate that. But what her mom has done, in some ways, I'm like low-key like, that's shady, right? And like she bought a timeshare, but she bought it in her name instead. I'm like, why does she have to use your name to buy this timeshare? Like, is it because she has bad credit? And yeah, apparently she went bankrupt, and so did her aunt. So I'm like, okay, that's not a normal thing. You shouldn't go bankrupt and do it twice and just think, oh, okay, I'm going to rack up the credit cards again and do it again. Like, no, that's not a smart idea. So maybe because I have to save, because I save out of fear, maybe that's why my brain just doesn't understand spending money you don't have. But so her mom did that, and then she asked like her husband, they don't really get along, but they tolerate each other. But she asked him for money because my friend supposedly needed it to pay a bill. And then her mom said, hey, if your dad asks you why about that money, just tell him that you needed to pay a bill with it. Well, she never got that money. So her dad thinks that she's asking for money because she can't pay a bill. And that was never the truth. Her mom took that money and used it. And in this past year, her mom kept like saying a couple times, oh, your aunt has $5,000 for you for a car. Whenever you're ready to get a new car, just let me know. I've got it in the bank. And I'm listening to this conversation, minding my business, but at the same time in my head going, well, why the hell are you hanging on to that $5,000? I didn't say anything, and it's not my business, but at the same time, as a mother myself, I don't understand that. I would never do that to my kids. Unless they were bad with their money and you couldn't trust them, then I understand why you'd want to hold on to that money and then help them pay for that car because they just blow it on drugs or something stupid. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, I understand, but I know my friend, she's not like that. So she said that, and she said it a couple times, and then finally my friend in January said, hey, Mom, I'm thinking about buying my a car in June, which is now, and I could use that $5,000 now. She goes, okay, I'll start trickling it in little by little, and then by June you'll have the $5,000. And again, in my head, I'm thinking, why the hell do you not have all that money? If you had it sitting in the bank, why now do you have to trickle it in? So time has gone by now. It is now June, and I asked, do you have that $5,000 that your mom supposedly was supposed to trickle in? And she's like, no. I said, have you talked to her? She goes, yeah, I mean, I've talked to her about, getting a new car, what kind of car I'm going to get. And all she would do is talk about, like, when to get it, like maybe in October when the new models come through. And I said, so it's not one time she mentioned that money that she's supposedly supposed to have for you. She goes, no. I'm like, so you're not going to say anything? She's like, well, it's not my money to have. I'm like, but why would she promise you money and then not give it to you? She's like, well, that's just how she is. I'm like, that's not okay. I am sorry. That is not freaking okay. But she just lays low and just doesn't say anything, and she just lets these people screw her over. And so I thought about that, and I thought, the big difference is, because, I chose my choice to not talk to my family. So, my fault that sometimes I feel sad that I don't have a family. And not my own kids. I'm not talking about that family. The family I grew up with, my sisters, brother, mom, dad, that stuff. But I did choose on my own to stop talking to them. I also chose on my own to stop talking to my cousins because obviously they're not going to help me outside with me, and they're just going to be, minding their business, but not to a point where they're not going to tattle on me when I told them about knowing now that my mom's in a memory care nursing home that no one told me. It's been, 8 months, 9 months. So, anywho. And I thought, the difference is like, so I could have, I said it didn't matter. Like, my sister still would have screwed me over whether I was like my friend and just stayed low key and saintly. They still would have done the exact same thing. They would have still taken my brother's money from my kids, and they still would have taken my mom's money. It's still the same because they did it already in the past. So I guess there was two choices I could have made. One I made where I spoke up for myself and got the hell out of California and let them fully aware that I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. I think you're evil pieces of shit. And so now, yes, there is space being rent in my head because of that, because now I'm on bad terms, and I notice when I'm on bad terms with people, they do tend to rent space in my head more than people I'm on good terms with, which I'm sure that's normal. Or I could have been like my friend who just lets them screw her over and she just does nothing about it. But her mom loves her and she loves her. And it's like, well, does she though, or does she just using you? That's all in my head. I come from a dysfunctional family, so I don't think that's love. I think that's using each other and taking advantage of each other. That's how I'm feeling, and I have a hard time with that. So I have a hard time if her mom comes into town to not say anything. It's like, oh my God, just because I wouldn't do that to my own kids. Like, if she doesn't pay that timeshare, guess whose credit that's going to be on? That's going to be on my friend. That's going to be on and she hasn't even used that damn timeshare, and she bought it back when she was 18, and she's like in her 40s now. So she hasn't even used the damn timeshare. I'm like, so your mom uses it all the time. Okay, how is this a good inheritance for you? Timeshares are bad. I thought they were bad financial things to do, like bad whatever. What the hell do you call investments? Thank you. I can't think of the word. I've never heard good things about timeshares, so I just find them like not worth the money, because she can only go, if she can actually ever use it, once every other year, and you only get a week. And I'm like, why don't you just go on vacation and just go anywhere? Because then you got to like hurry up and sign up to see if you can get a week in there. I'm like, it doesn't seem worth it to me, but what do I know? So I guess those are the choices that I thought, I don't know, should I have made her choice and just been saintly? Because my sisters were going to screw me over no matter what. In some ways, I felt like I fought the fight. At least I could expose them in some ways. Whether anybody gives a shit about it is another story, but at least I could say, no, that what you did is not okay. And at least I've got my kids who are fully aware of what kind of ants they have. They don't talk to them on their own will. They're adults, yes. They don't give a shit to even talk to them. And I'm like, thank God, because I would see them making my kids turn my kids on me too. So that's like, thank God. I think they know when not to mess with certain people, because they know they can't brainwash them to not like me. They can't smear campaign me to them or them to me or whatever you call it. They can't ruin that relationship, so they just leave it be. So there you go. But yeah, I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? That just kind of like, I got to mind my business. I get it. And I am minding my business. That is her. You know, if she doesn't want to fight the fight, you know, she just wants to let her mom take advantage of her like that, you know, so be it. It's not my business. You know, it's not my monkey, not my circus. But there was another thing I thought of when I'm feeling down or emotional because of things, because certain things will trigger me. You know, I still get triggered sometimes. I ground myself as much as possible, touch the earth, and it will calm me down. But, you know, just seeing, you know, the happy family people, you know, it just kind of puts me in a funk sometimes. And not too long ago, there was this huge storm that came through. And I live in Nevada where, like, it gets really windy and rainy and like a monsoon. And then it goes away within a half hour and it's beautiful blue skies like you see right now. And so the other day that happened, I said, you know, for me to learn something, I have to learn visually. And what I learned was when there's a storm, okay, I've never dealt with tornadoes in my life, nor do I want to, but don't people just hunker down? They go into the basements, they go into their bomb shelter, or not bomb shelters, but their tornado shelters or whatever you call them, and they hunker down, they lay low until it goes away. And I thought, that's how I should treat situations where I just want to explode and go nuts on. Just hunker down until the blue skies come back. So next time, if I have an emotional time where I'm just really angry at a situation, I'm just going to hunker down and lay low, because I feel like when I don't, I just lay out some damage. And so that storm that came through the other day, I was in the casino, like, so I had no idea, but the casino lights went out and it was like, what the hell? And then I was like, okay, it wasn't that storming when I was out there, so it came and went real quick. And as I was leaving the casino, I saw 3 trees down and the lights were out on these signal lights. So I'm like, whoa, some damage was made. And that's how I feel I would have been. I would have been that person knocking down trees and knocking down light, you know, light, electricity and all that. So I'm like, hunker down, lay low till the blue skies come back. That's all I got, guys. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.